Good morning. So we shall continue our series of this rapid revision. And yesterday we have reached till civil disobedience movement and second roundtable conference. So second roundtable conference, yesterday we discussed that it was a much hyped session with a massive gathering at Buckingham Palace. But second roundtable conference failed to achieve any objective, and Gandhi returned back to India empty-handed. So initially, the Gandhi had put forward many conditions, three mainly: that establishment of responsible government. Second, the depressed class are Hindus, they should not be treated as minority. So he opposed the idea of separate electorates, and Congress is an all India organization. So British should talk Congress first, and Congress will bring consensus among the various regional political parties. So here's the series that you have to keep in mind, that Gandhi opposed the communal award or McDonald award, and then he started the fast unto death against the government decision. And then Pune Pact. Or Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact. Mainly with the effort of Bharat Ratna Madan Mohan Malviya, and M.C. Raja, the leader of the Communist Party. Both persuaded Ambedkar to go for the Pune Pact or the Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact. And then in provincial legislature, the number of reserved seats was double, and in Central Assembly, 18% of the total seats for the depressed class, and adequate percentage in the civil services examination. And then Gandhi had taken the lemon water to break the fast. Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact is a historic pact. So, Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact. After this pact, Gandhi had established All India Anti-Untouchability League and devoted himself in Harijan welfare. Third roundtable conference. So third roundtable conference, it was a least participated event among all the three roundtable conferences, because Congress did not participate it. Even the Liberal Party of England boycotted this. Boycotted it. So there was empty chairs, and those who wanted to go there, they went there. There was a leader of Students' Union of the Cambridge University, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. He participated. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali He participated there and he coined the term Pakistan. So term Pakistan means Punjab, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Sindh, Baluchistan. So geographical entity of the northwestern region, it was participated by. So this was explained by Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. Nobody had responded. It's just like a joke, and joke became bigger joke. So nobody had responded it. So Chaudhry Rahmat Ali coined the term Pakistan. Now look at the chronology. So Gandhi was released from jail, and then 1933 he suspended civil disobedience movement. Not ended, but suspended civil disobedience movement. And then he gave new name to depressed class, Harijan. He started publication of Harijan newspaper, which was a weekly English newspaper. Weekly English newspaper. And then he established the Harijan Sevak Sangh. He started the Harijan Yatra. "20,000 kilometers he traveled in entire India, connecting the Harijan villages, collecting funds, and generating awareness against the untouchability." So Harijan Yatra, Harijan Sevak Sangh, Harijan newspaper, and he gave the new name Harijan to the depressed class. But he suspended the civil disobedience movement. Suspended the civil disobedience movement. So after suspension of civil disobedience movement, there was a wave of storm against Gandhi. At this time, Subhash Chandra Bose, he was highly critical as usual. So Subhash Chandra Bose, he said that Gandhi as a leader failed. Congress needed new approach, new objective, and new leadership. So Congress needed new approach, new objective, and new leadership. Subhash Chandra Bose was highly critical about the decision of Gandhi to take back the civil disobedience movement. Nehru also reacted sharply. Nehru said that because of this decision of Gandhi, my long association with Gandhi was about to an end. So this is how the both Nehru and Subhas did not endorse the Gandhi's decision to take back civil disobedience movement. They criticized the Gandhi's decision. They criticized the Gandhi's decision. My long association with Gandhi is about to an end. And then Subhash Chandra Bose said Gandhi as a leader failed and Congress needed new objective, new approach, and new leadership. Meanwhile, the Gandhi was busy in taking the Harijan Yatra, and Gandhi, on the way to abolish untouchability, many conservative Hindu groups, they targeted Gandhi. They charged Gandhi that Gandhi is trying to dilute the Hinduism by including the Dalits in the Hinduism. So there were many who criticized Gandhi, challenged Gandhi, and tried to obstruct Gandhi. British government was also not happy with the Gandhi when Gandhi was trying to unite the Hinduism. And because of the hard effort, the temple entry bill was introduced in the assembly. British government, by its own calculation, defeated the temple entry bill, giving rude shock to everyone. Gandhi's effort to abolish the untouchability. So therefore, the British government defeated temple entry bill in the assembly. So look at, the British government was claiming for empowerment of the Dalits, but when Gandhi had taken lead in all the ways, British government was turning negative against the Dalit, and thereafter the temple entry bill was defeated by the British government in the assembly. And then 1934, Gandhi ended the civil disobedience movement, and he resigned from the primary membership of Congress and devoted himself in Harijan welfare, that is constructive work. So these are the small points you have to keep in mind. These are the small points you have to keep in mind, that British government had defeated temple entry bill because of the Gandhi's campaign against untouchability, because of the Gandhi's bid to unite the Hinduism, and Gandhi's effort to go for the Harijan Yatra. So many noble works in India always faced huge criticism and huge hindrance. Anyway, the civil disobedience movement had ended, the second mass movement, and in 1934, Congress had a separate unit called Congress Socialist Party to achieve the level of socialism by Jayaprakash Narayan. This was not separate from the Congress party, but it was a socialist wing of the party. Jayaprakash Narayan, Narendra Dev, and A. Patwardhan. A. Patwardhan. So Congress Socialist Party was established. This is how the socialism should be achieved. Indian National Congress was looking for the political objective, and then Congress Socialist Party will leave the objective of, will go for the objective of socialism. So after 3 roundtable conferences, British government had passed Government of India Act 1935. Government of India Act 1935. So Government of India Act 1935, if you look at the crux of the act, then objective of relation between India and Britain was dominion status. Dominion status. Nature of government will be democratic. Nature of government in India will be democratic. And there will be a federal constitution in India. Federal constitution in India. So this is how 3 important points you can calculate. In the Government of India Act 1935, it was revolving around these points. Nature of government will be federal, democratic, and there will be a dominion status between India and England. This is what the crux of Government of India Act 1935, and the major points was that there will be a federal constitution. So when there is a federal constitution, British talked about All India Federation, but it was compulsory for the British Indian provinces to go for the part of the federation, but it was optional for the princely states. Princely states. And it was compulsory for the British Indian provinces. Optional for the princely states and compulsory for the British Indian provinces. The British Indian provinces must participate in the federation, but giving optional status was definitely not good. And second, the diarchy was abolished and provincial autonomy was granted. Provincial autonomy was granted. So provincial autonomy means all the provinces would go under election and all the political parties in India would participate, and those who will get the majority will form the government there in the provinces. So this is called provincial autonomy. Now provinces was handed over to Indians. This is called another step, one more step, or the second step towards the establishment of a responsible government. I told you the crux, that relation between India and Britain will be dominion status. Second, I told you that the nature of government will be democratic. And third, that India would have a federal constitution. So around that entire Government of India Act 1935 was, but more focused point of out of the many points is that there was a provincial autonomy. So entire provinces to be handed over to the Indians after the election. So this election, the provision was now looking substantially related to the establishment of responsible government. The total number of provinces was 11. Because in this act, now it had become 11, because in this act, Sindh and NWFP, Sindh and NWFP became two new provinces. Sindh and NWFP became two new provinces. Sindh and NWFP became new provinces. Total number of provinces became 11. So as per the Government of India Act 1935, there was election in the provinces, and provincial election of 1937. Provincial election of 1937. Two mainstream political party, that is Indian National Congress and Muslim League, was ready to take on in the election. Look at, this is a very interesting and a very critical affair also. I am talking about the provincial election of 1937. Very critical affair also. In the provincial election of 1937, look at the performance of Congress. Congress was able to form government in 8 provinces. Eight provinces. And except out of 11, 8 provinces. So it was a thumping victory of the Congress, except Bengal, Sindh, and Punjab. 8 provinces. Muslim League, dismal performance. Muslim League failed to get seat even in the Muslim majority provinces. The Muslim League failed to get seat in the even in the Muslim majority province. Dismal performance of Muslim. Even in the reserve seats, Muslim League got a very, out of the 33 seats in the Sindh Assembly, 33 seats reserved for the Muslims, Muslim League got only 2. In Muslim League got only 3 seats, and in Punjab Assembly only got 2. So you can imagine that Muslim League was badly in trouble. There, even the Muslims did not vote for Muslim League. The performance of Muslim League was very, very negative. Despite that, Jinnah approached Congress. Jinnah approached Congress. Can we form the coalition government? This is Jinnah's technique. Congress had a majority, and despite that, the Jinnah asking Congress to go for the coalition government. And that too, Congress does not need. But Jinnah offering, yes, we can form the coalition government, and that too under the condition that the Muslim ministers in these provinces will be nominated by Muslim League. This was a very harsh condition and laughing condition, because we don't need support from any party, but despite that, that party is putting condition of the support. This was nothing but a laughing stock. And that is the reason why the Muslim League obviously faced huge backlash, and then Congress rejected the proposal. And thereafter, Jinnah became fumed over the communal issues, that this government is a Hindu government, interests of the Muslims are not safe. And certain Hindu groups also started Gauraksha movement. So means 1937 to 1939, in these 2 years of the Congress government, there was a shoot of the communal ideas. Shooting of the communal ideas. Very interesting affair. Very interesting affair. So communal ideas had definitely moved to certain scale. So this was a very interesting affair in terms of achievement of the 2 years of the Congress. So communalism had developed during this phase, to 1937 to 1939. But look, 1939 there was a war. Second World War had already made its scenario, and CWC, Congress Working Committee, was there at Wardha. Gandhi called the meeting of Congress Working Committee at Wardha to discuss about that what should be the role of India during the Second World War, whether India should support Britain or not. So CWC meeting was organized at Wardha, and in this meeting the discussion was what is role of Congress in the war. 1939. Gandhi, look at the 3 big men in the Congress: Gandhi, Subhash, and Nehru. Remember one thing, that in election of 1937, Gandhi did not participate in a single election rally. Only Subhas, he was harshly pushing for the victory of the Congress. And then Congress got victory in the 8 provinces. So height of the Subhas in the Congress was very high at that time. So here Gandhi, Subhas and Nehru, what is their opinion regarding the support of the British in the war? Gandhi said unconditional support to Britain in the war. Gandhi said that in between the democratic West and totalitarian Nazi, we must go with the democratic West. Totalitarian Nazi means the Axis power, Germany, Italy and Japan, and the democratic West, England and France. We must choose the democratic West. At least they were fighting to restore the democratic value. Gandhi said if war is justified then against Hitler, violence is justified then against Germany. So this is how he had clearly defined the target. So we must go for unconditional support to Britain in the war. Subhas said no support to either party. either the Axis power or the Allied power, both are imperialist. So we should not go supporting it to either party. Yes, we should take advantage of the Second World War to get the India's independence. So it is the right time to start the mass civil disobedience movement. So Subhas was of this opinion that no support to either party, and then we must take advantage, and this is the right time to go for the mass civil disobedience movement. Nehru support, 50% from Gandhi, 50% from Subhas. Nehru said no support to either party, but we should not go for the mass movement also. So this is the opinion of the Gandhi, Subhas and Nehru related to the war. Nehru always take the balance point in between. Balance point in between. So no support to either party till India gets this basic demand of independence. And second point is that no mass civil disobedience movement also. Because both Nehru and Gandhi agreed that if you launch civil disobedience movement or the mass movement against the British, it will give the message that better we should, or the CWC. Britain also in the war. So Viceroy Lilithgow declared India party to the war without consulting Congress, and thereafter the CWC resolution at Wardha was passed. And then no support to either party, and second, all the dominion status. Lithgow said that after the war there will be dominion status with India. Within the British Crown, India and England will be two dominion. So first time there was an explicit offer of dominion status. These are the things we have to catch in mind. Explicit offer of dominion status. Okay. The first time we have explicit offer of dominion status. Second point, that after the war, a constituent assembly will be established. So even the establishment of constituent assembly, this was a long standing demand of the Congress. This is also acknowledged by the British for the first time. This is also first time the British accepted the demand of Congress that we should frame the Constitution of India, but mainly Indians, not only Indians, mainly Indians. Means British would keep the door open, mainly Indians. But at the same time, British also pacified the Muslim League. British said that no constitution will be acceptable if not acceptable to minorities. If not acceptable to minorities. This is called minority veto, which make Muslim League very happy. The Muslim League welcomed the minority veto. No constitution will be acceptable if it is not acceptable to the minority. So this is a minority veto. But Muslim League said that yes, it is good, but Pakistan is the only solution. Partition is the only solution. Congress rejected this Lithgow proposal. Nehru said that it is as dead as doornail. Jang lagi hui keel, as dead as doornail. So Nehru had its own ways to express anything. So as dead as doornail. So from here you can gauge such questions. Normally this is something like in which you have to recommend some of the important points where you can have question in the prelims. Look at the minute observation of any proposal. Anyway, Lithgow proposal failed. And then after Lithgow proposal, Gandhi started individual satyagraha. Individual satyagraha. Individual satyagraha was not a mass movement. Not for demand of independence, not for demand of independence, but freedom of speech. Freedom of. Indians must get right to oppose the war because Defense of India Act was applied. So once India is in war, no Indians can speak against the war. But here the demand was that there should be a freedom of speech. The freedom of speech, not for demand of India. To individual satyagraha. Vinoba Bhave, he was the first satyagrahi. Vinoba Bhave, he was the first satyagrahi. Then we have Jawaharlal Nehru and Satyabhakt. Brahmadatta, and then Satyabhakt. So these are the Satyagrahis who started Satyagraha and got arrested. So therefore, individual Satyagraha. So individual Satyagraha was not for independence, but demand of freedom of speech. But in the condition of 1941 to 1942, there was some serious affair which led to the Quit India movement. I told you that Britain was desperate to take the support of Indians in the war, because now this time the Japan had already declared that Asia for Asiatics. So if Indians would become neutral or would support Japan, then Japanese will eliminate Britain from Asia. So there was a pressure from the allied partners, America, China, Russia, started putting pressure on England to take the initiative and then find the solution of India. So Cripps mission was sent. Cripps mission. Sir Stafford Cripps, he was member of the war cabinet. Among the many ministers of England, Cripps was the only one minister who openly talked about the Indian independence. He was from the Labour Party. And he was very sympathetic towards the Indian national movement. So he openly talked about the India's independence. So many Indian leaders had a very good relation with the Cripps. And Cripps also came with a very blunt proposal. Cripps said, Dominion status after the war, the same copy paste. Okay, fine. After the war. Constituent Assembly, this time we have not mainly but only Indians. Only Indians. What is the difference between the Lithgow proposal and the Cripps mission? That this time the Constituent Assembly will constitute only Indians, elected member from British Indian provinces. Elected member from British Indian provinces. And nominated member from the princely states and chief commissionary provinces. Princely states and chief commissionary provinces, CCP. So Constituent Assembly that will comprise only Indians, the elected members from the British Indian provinces, and nominated member from the chief commissionary province and the princely states. And the princely states. But at the same time, Cripps again pleased the Pakistan issue of Muslim League. Cripps said that any province or the group of provinces, if not happy with the union, may form separate constituent assembly. And this is a blueprint of partition. This is blueprint of partition. Let me repeat. I am telling you that any provinces or any province or the group of provinces is not happy with the union may come out and form the separate constituent assembly. Separate constituent assembly. Separate constituent assembly. any province or the group of provinces may form separate constituent assembly. So this is what is called blueprint of partition. So Cripps also played the line of the Britishers, and then finally Gandhi called the Cripps vision as post-dated check. Post-dated check. And therefore Cripps mission had failed. The failure of the Cripps mission had prepared the background of Quit India movement. Failure of the Cripps mission had prepared the background of Quit India movement. Prepared the background of Quit India movement. So therefore, this is how the failure of the Cripps. So Gandhi organized the meeting of and then Gandhi passed the Quit India resolution and he gave two mantras: do or die and act according to your conscience. Do or die and act according to your conscience. Look the fantastic sentence Gandhi delivered here. Gandhi said, either we will die or either we will make India independent or die in the attempt. But we will not live to see the perpetuity of our slavery. Either we will make India independent or die in the attempt, but we will not live to see the perpetuity of our slavery. So this is how emphatically he gave every Indian a mantra as do or die and act according to your conscience. So Quit India movement, the term Quit India movement, it was coined by Yusuf Meher Ali. Yusuf Meher Ali. He was very good in coining the one-line term. Yusuf Meher Ali. He also coined the term Simon go back and then Quit India movement. So Yusuf Meher Ali had coined the term Quit India movement. So Quit India movement had started, and despite the Gandhian call, the movement became violent movement, huge participation of students. But the Muslims remained indifferent from the Quit India movement. Muslims did not participate because of the Lahore resolution, because British got support from the Muslim League in the war effort. So that means the Muslim League had a very good influence over the Muslims. But it was compensated because the entire India, there was a massive and uniform movement against the British. It was a violent as well as non-violent movement. Intensity of the movement was so high that at many places the provisional government of India was established. Provisional government of India was established. Satara, Balia, Tamluk, Midnapur, Talcher. These are the places where the provisional government of Free India was established. Satala was the Nana Patil. Balia was Chittu Pandey. So they became the head of the government. And therefore, at many places, the independent government of Free India was established. Independent government of Free India was established. Many places. British government had taken warlike situation, massive, aggressive suppression of the revolt. You know, it was said that around 10,000 people had died on offensive. Fire from machine gun, aerial bombing. The British government had taken all efforts to suppress the revolt. All efforts to suppress the revolt. By 1944, Quit India movement was ended. So once the Quit India movement was ended, the intensity had forced British to realize that their days in India are numbered. Intensity of this movement forced British to realize that their days in India are numbered. And therefore, the British government also changed the position from the policy of dominion status to the policy of divide and quit. Now, 1945 to 47, after suspension of Quit India movement, the policy of British government was solely based on policy of divide and quit. Divide and 1945 to 47. The policy of dominion status, earlier which was a core policy of the British, now it had turned out to be the policy of divide and quit. Policy of divide and quit. Quit India. Policy of divide and quit. So after suspension of in the end of the Quit India movement, but by the time the communal sentiments in India had become very hyper, and everybody was understanding the communal stream. Absence of Muslims from the Quit India movement was quite alarming, and that is the reason why the Sri Rajagopalachari, he was the first leader who openly talked that let us have a discussion of Pakistan. However, he faced criticism from the congressman, his own party, but he made it very clear to go for the discussion. So Sri Rajagopalachari, he presented a formula which is called Rajaji formula. So in 1944, Rajaji formula was announced. Rajaji formula was announced. Sri Rajagopalachari, he said that first Muslim League should cooperate Congress in formation of interim government. First, Muslim League should cooperate Congress in formation of interim government. And then after independence, we will discuss about the Pakistan. So first independence, then Pakistan. Muslim League should help Congress in establishment of interim government, and after independence, we will discuss about Pakistan. So first independence, then Pakistan. First independence, then Pakistan. Okay, fine. That's good. Second, after the war, means Second World War, a commission will be constituted. Commission will be constituted to identify the Muslim majority district. Muslim majority. To identify the Muslim majority district, and then subsequently, we will go for plebiscite. In all Muslim majority district, we will go for plebiscite. That who want Pakistan, so we'll go for the plebiscite. Third point, non-Muslim will also vote in that district, although very few, but they will vote for whether they want Pakistan or not. Non-Muslim will also vote. Identification of the Muslim majority district after the war, and then we'll go for the plebiscite on the basis of adult franchise, and then we'll also vote for non-Muslim will also vote for Pakistan. All party must express the opinion. What is their opinion for Pakistan? All party. Before the voting, all party must explain the opinion. And if Pakistan is created, suppose if Pakistan is created, then we can say that one union and two federation. One union and two federation, India and Pakistan. That is, the union will constitute, common union will constitute foreign affairs, defense, communication, currency, all will be common, and rest other things will be. All these applied in case of full transfer of power. So first independence, then we will discuss about the Pakistan. So C. Rajagopalachari formula was presented, and on this basis of the formula, there was Gandhi Jinnah talk. So Gandhi Jinnah talk. Jinnah outrightly rejected the proposal. Jinnah said, want sovereign Pakistan without allegiance with him. First partition, then independence. Voting is okay, but voting will be only in the northwest and northeast. You understand that the people of entire Muslim India, the Muslims would ever vote for Pakistan? No. If Pakistan is having the northwest and northeast, suppose, so voting will be only in the northwestern areas and northeastern. That is in the Punjab side to Balochistan and then NWFP, and here it's Bengal side, and not other parts of it. Non-Muslim will not vote because this is a vote for Pakistan and Pakistan is for Congress would also accept the two-nation theory. So this is how the very blunt response came from Jinnah without thinking the if and buts. So Gandhi Jinnah talk had failed. Jinnah insisted radically, fundamentally for Pakistan without giving any chance to compromise. So therefore it had failed. Condition was very simple. What? That only Muslims will vote for Pakistan. Plebiscite is okay, but not in entire India, but in the northwest and northeast. So therefore, the Gandhi Jinnah talk failed. Very simple understanding of all the complexities. Normally, most of the students, after reading, they skip it. But when you go in detail, in depth, then you'll find that it's far easy, but you have to explore the inside story. In between the lines, you have to explore it. In between the lines, you have to explore it. So Gandhiji's talk had failed. Talk had failed. (1945). Look, this is the time. This is the time when Britain had already won the war in Europe. Hitler committed suicide. Mussolini was killed by his own fascist men. So after death of Hitler and Mussolini, the war in Europe was ended, and the devastated country was Britain. You'll find that the English people, they don't have enough fuel in the house to make the tea. So only one car was running in the 10-down street. It was car of Winston Churchill. So that is how the devastated England, but victorious England. So there was election in England, and Winston Churchill, he wanted to prove his people that he is very serious about India. So therefore, he wanted to go for the fresh level of talk. Number 1 point. 1945, why the Viceroy Babel? Viceroy Babel, 1945. Simla Plan. Or this is also called Babel Plan. Simla Plan, or this is also known as Babel Plan. Why this plan? The first I told you that the Prime Minister Churchill wanted to prove his own people that he is very serious about India. So he wanted to go for the fresh level of talk. The leaders of the Congress was released from jail. Secondly, Japan was still a threat. Japanese threat was still present there because war in Europe had over, but war is still going on between America and Japan. The threat of the Japan. So therefore, the British is still trying to get the support of the Indians in the war. So PM Churchill, his effort to go for the election in England, Japanese threat, and leaders, Indian National Congress, some leaders, they wanted to utilize the energy that if British agreed for some transfer of power, we should cooperate Britain in the war. So some leaders were in favor of talk. So many leaders of the Congress was released from jail, and thereafter the conducive atmosphere had started, and the Webel invited the leaders of Congress and Muslim League at Simla. This is the Simla Plan or the Webel Plan. Look, this is a random revision I told you. So therefore, I'm keeping all the things in the mind that all of you had went to the entire modern India for many times. So I'm pointing out the key points and the hit points. Understanding to the fact that you know the everything in between. Because normally when you go for modern India, you cannot complete it. If you go for the exhaustively exam preparation type, 50 to 60 hours to take. But here we are talking in the 7 hours, and then we are already taking the point that this is a rapid revision. So, Babel Plan or the similar. Viceroy Babel had already pointed, yes, there is a dominion status for India. But my dear, more important point was that the Viceroy Executive Council will be reconstituted. Viceroy Executive Council, most powerful decision-making body, will be reconstituted. So out of 12 members, 10 will be Indians. So Viceroy Executive Council will constitute Indians. Will constitute Indians. Viceroy Executive Council will constitute Indians. Only Viceroy and military commander will be British. Viceroy and military commander will be British. Viceroy and military commander will be British. Viceroy and the military commander will be British. And secondly, that there will be equal number of Hindus and the Muslims. 5 plus 5. Hindus and the Muslims. But look at here. The Hindus was referred as caste Hindus. Caste Hindus including Sikh also. Others also. Caste Hindus. And it is referred, it is a caste Hindus and the Muslims. So Congress had objection. Muslim League forwarded a condition that Muslim member in the council, that is a 5, all will be nominated by Muslim League. Congress may nominate the Hindus. Congress may nominate the Hindus. Muslim members in the council will be nominated by Muslim League. Congress may nominate the Hindus. So therefore, the Congress rejected the proposal. But at the same time, look at Viceroy Babel himself announced the failure of the Simla plan. And that means Jinnah got a veto power over the British. That anything which is not acceptable to Jinnah, that will not move forward. The British wanted to project Jinnah through this Simla conference. That Jinnah had a totalitarian power to exercise the veto on all the decisions. So suddenly the Muslims had got understanding that Jinnah is a person, a leader who can do anything for the Muslims. And even British could not have a power to oppose Jinnah. So this is how the British played the game. British tried to complicate the transfer of power by using the Muslim League. British got a huge catch in the form of Jinnah. Even one person was enough with so much of the community. So if you look at the time of the partition, you'll be very surprised that this was a one-man show, which was very radical and adamant. If you can't make it, destroy. And this is how the Jinnah was projected. I hope you understand this point. You have to make it yourself very cool to understand that when Viceroy Babel announced the failure of the Simla plan, because the condition of Jinnah that Muslim members will be nominated by Muslim League. So that means Jinnah, if Jinnah does not want anything, nothing will be accepted. Giving a towering leadership status to the. So therefore, on that very basis, the British government immediately announced election in India after 10 years. So the election in India was organized by British government after 10 years. Election in 1945-46. After 10 years of gap, there was election for the Central Assembly and the Provincial Assembly both. So Central Assembly and Provincial Assembly both. Look at the performance of Congress. Performance of Congress in this election. 91% of non-Muslim vote voted for Congress. %91% of the non-Muslim vote voted for Congress. Congress was able to form government in 8 provinces. "57 seats out of the 102 in the Central Assembly. Overall, it was a good performance. But Muslim League, look at the performance of Muslim League versus the Congress. Performance of Muslim League versus Congress, 86.6% Muslim voters. 86.6% Muslim voters voted for Muslim. Voted for Muslim. Means after 40 years, the Muslim League can claim that Muslim League is a representative of the Muslims. Stark contrast in 1937 election and here 1946 election. So now the Muslim League able to manage the support of the Muslims, no doubt in this. This is the reason what I said, because this vote was vote for Pakistan. Jinnah and the leaders of Muslim League openly said that if you will not vote for Pakistan, you will not give birth in the Muslim graveyards. So voting for Muslim League means voting for Pakistan. So partition of India had already decided in 1946 on the pattern of the voting. 86.6% Muslim voters had voted for Pakistan. So performance of the Muslim. So partition of India had already decided in 1946. Bengal and Sindh. Bengal and Sindh. Muslim League was able to form the government. 2 states at least, complete majority. And in Central Assembly, all 33 reserved seats. All 33 reserved seats. So encouraged by this huge support to Muslim League of the Muslims. So Muslim League was keeping silent. The result of the election had already declared many things. The result of the election had already declared many things. I told you, partition of India was not in 1947, but it had already decided in 1946, where the 86.6% of the Muslim voters had voted for Pakistan. Extreme communal slogans were preached by the Muslim League leaders. If you will not vote for Pakistan, you will not give birth in the Muslim graveyards. So this is how the Muslim League success. So keeping the things silent, the performance of Congress, non-Muslim vote, 91% of non-Muslim vote was vote for the Congress. Congress was able to form government in 8 provinces. And out of the 102 seats in the Central Assembly, 57 was backed by Congress. But this is not encouraging. Discouraging part is here that the Muslim League suddenly successfully established the support of the Muslims. Meanwhile, there was another shocker for the British, that is Navy mutiny of 1946. February 1946, there was a mutiny, a Royal Indian Navy. Look, Air Force and Navy was most disciplined cadre of the British military. Army revolted many times. Recently, I was listening a video of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. So Bala Sahab has said that the British had a very strong understanding, firm faith that the soldiers of India is very loyal to the British. And this made the British enough confident that British would rule India even after from here more than 100 years. So therefore, the soldiers always remained. Indians, nobody can doubt the loyalty with the ruling authority as far as Indian forces are concerned. This is the beauty of this land that makes us so much loyal and truthful. And this is the reason why among the third world countries we are the strongest nation in terms of our democratic values, in terms of the spirit of nationalism, in terms of our patriotism. Okay, fine. So 1946 February, there was a revolt at Indian Navy. There was a ship stationed at Bombay Harbour, INS Talwar, and Indian soldiers revolted. Revolt started with racial discrimination and suddenly it became anti-British. Rebellions had removed the British flag and put the flag of Congress and Muslim League. Congress, Muslim League, Gandhi did not support the rebellion. Gandhi even said, when British is trying to go for the smooth transfer of power, this kind of relation will jeopardize the India's interest with the Britain. So Gandhi rejected the revolt of revolt of February 1946. Gandhi said that this kind of approach will jeopardize the India's relation with England. Only Communist Party of India had supported. Railway Union had supported. Bombay Labour Union had supported. But the revolt of Navy and Air Force was likely to join the revolt. So Britain was in the rude shock and was known for always ceremonial exit from any country. But this revolt will put Britain in a very unceremonial condition. And therefore, in hurried preparation, next month, that is March 1946, cabinet mission was sent. Cabinet mission was sent. March 1946. Cabinet mission was sent. 3-member mission, you know, the Patrick Lawrence, A.B. Alexander, and Stafford Cripps. These 3 men came. The first time we can see the arrival of Secretary of State, A.B. Alexander. He was a Navy chief. And Stafford Cripps. President, Board of Trade. President, Board of Trade. So Patrick Lawrence, A.B. Alexander, Stafford Cripps, and look at the point of suggestion. Already on the basis of Cripps formula, Constitution for India by the Indians. So Constitution for India by the Indians, and that by the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly. So I told you that elected member from the British Indian provinces, nominated member from the princely states, and nominated member from the chief commissionary province. There were 4 chief commissionary province, 1 member will come from here. Princely states, 93, and elected member from British Indian provinces, and that will come around 292. So total 389 members will be there in the Constituent Assembly. 389 members will be there in the Constituent Assembly to frame the Constitution for India. From entire 11 provinces, there will be total 292 members will come. So 389 total, the member of the Constituent Assembly. Those who will get the highest number of seats, those will get the highest number of seats. In the election of Constituent Assembly, highest number of seats, they will get invitation to form the interim government. Interim government will be established from those who got the invitation, who got the highest number of seats. Interim government will form. Interim government will be there. Those who will get the highest number of seats. But most controversial decision of cabinet mission was grouping of Indian states in 3 groups. Group A, Group B, and Group C. Grouping of Indian states in 3 groups. Group C is Bengal and Assam. Group B, Punjab, NWFP, and Sindh. And Group A, we have UP, CP, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, and so Hindu majority areas and the Muslim majority areas. and Hindu majority area. So British wanted to demarcate the voting percentage in the election for the Constituent Assembly. That in the election for the Constituent Assembly, which area there is a maximum voting for the Muslim League and which area the Congress is getting. So Group A and Group B and Group C. This is a most controversial decision of cabinet mission. Most controversial decision of cabinet mission. So in the election of Constituent Assembly, Congress got highest number of seats. So as per the plan, Viceroy Babel will invite Congress to form the interim government. But Muslim League insisted, Muslim League demanded separate constituent assembly for Pakistan. Muslim League started Direct Action Day, 16th August 1946, a Direct Action Day. Direct Action Day, 16th August 1946. This was sponsoring the communal violence in entire India, demanding the separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan. The top leaders of the Muslim League openly sponsoring violence. There was a violence in entire India, demanding the Pakistan. So Indian National Congress got the highest number of seats. But Muslim League demanded separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan. So as per the provision of cabinet mission, since Congress got the highest number of seats, so Viceroy Babel invited leader of Congress party, Jawaharlal Nehru, leader of Congress party, Jawaharlal Nehru, to form the interim government. And 2nd September 1946, Nehru had taken oath as Vice President of India. Oath as Vice President of Vice President of India. Nehru had taken oath as Vice President of India. So now he is a number 2. But Nehru asked Muslim League to join the interim government. But Muslim League was involved in massive communal violence. Muslim League decided to join the government after so much of the persuasion. But top leader of the Muslim League remained provocation for the Pakistan and violence. Liaquat Ali Khan became the finance minister of the Nehru's government. Muslim League always loved the finance. So Muslim League, Liaquat Ali Khan, he became the finance minister in the Nehru's finance minister in the government. Liaquat Ali Khan. Three members of the Congress party had to quit the cabinet to facilitate the members of Muslim League. So those who quit the cabinet to facilitate the members of the Muslim League, it was Sarat Chandra Bose, Ali Jahir, and Safat Ahmad Khan. They resigned to incorporate the members of Muslim League in the cabinet. But Sarat Chandra Bose, after quitting the cabinet, he had a different agenda. Here everybody wants a nation. So Sarat Chandra Bose and Suhrawardi, they wanted a separate USB, United State of Bengal. This formula was also floated, which is called Sarat Suhrawardi formula. Sarat Suhrawardi formula. But anyway, Muslim League joined the government, but continued with the violence. Ministers themselves were involved in provocation of violence. This is the reason why it is called state-sponsored violence. This is the reason why it is called state-sponsored violence. So top leaders of the Muslim League stayed away from the government and they continued with the violence. But anyway, most worried person on earth, it was the Vice President of India. He was Jawaharlal Nehru. He had a responsibility to carry forward the state on his own. So meanwhile, in England, there was election. And in election, Labour Party got the victory. So Labour Party got the victory in election. Labour Party got victory in election. Clement Attlee became the Prime Minister. So Labour Party came to the power. That means new hope for India. Because Labour Party, since day one, we have seen that they were very sympathetic to. Very sympathetic. So therefore, Labour Party coming to the power was a new hope to India. And Labour Party, the Prime Minister Attlee announced, this is 20th February 1947. This is Attlee's declaration. Attlee's declaration. Prime Minister Attlee said that India would be free before June 1948. So he put the deadline that June 1948 is the date where is the month where India would leave Britain. Britain would leave India and India would become independent. So in between this, the June 1948, the British will pack up all the issues, including the transfer of power. Including the transfer of power. Britain will pack all the issues, including the transfer of power. So it released declaration, 20th February 1947. He also announced the appointment of Lord Mountbatten as a new viceroy of India. So Lord Mountbatten, he was a great grandson of Queen Victoria. So his great grandmother had started rule over India. So he was assigned the task to pack up. So it was a very emotional moment, and he was not ready to accept the position. He went to his brother, the King of England, George VI, and persuaded to convince the Prime Minister. But George VI was more excited in coming to India rather than convincing Prime Minister that Lord Mountbatten is not ready to become Viceroy. Anyway, Lord Louis Mountbatten, he became the Viceroy. March 1947 he came. He was very hopeful person to find the constitutional solution. He had a series of talk with Gandhi, with Patel, with Nehru and Jinnah. After meeting with Nehru, he told him, he was really a statesman-like person. He told him that, Mr. Nehru, don't consider me as a viceroy who came here to pack up the British rule. Consider me the viceroy who came here to begin new India. So this is the reason, if you'll perceive like this, you can better receive. So therefore, don't consider me viceroy who came here to pack up the British rule. Consider me as a viceroy who came here to begin the new India. So this is how he talked about. And Jinnah, regarding Jinnah, he said, I never met this person, but after meeting him, I realized that how much hate he is having for India's and the Hindus. How much hate he is having for India's and the Hindus. Gandhi, Patel, Nehru and Jinnah. So after this announcement, after this discussion, he finalized the 3rd June plan. He finalized the 3rd June. That is called Mountbatten Plan. So in 3rd June plan, that is Mountbatten Plan, India and Pakistan, two independent dominion, within the British Commonwealth. Within the British Commonwealth. So finally, accepted the dominion status. Now, many are worried or thinking that it was against the spirit of Lahore Resolution that we will get complete independence instead of dominion status. The Lahore Resolution says that the Purna Swaraj is the objective of Indian National Congress. So it was against the spirit of the Lahore Resolution. But here, finally, the Congress settled for dominion status. The reason was, British was ready to give the dominion status, and it was urgent need for the Congress to catch the power quickly, because there should be proper governance. There was a volatile situation in India. Only stable and the effective government will tackle it. So it was in the national interest of the public to take the power as quickly. Even the Congress settled for the dominion status. After dominion status, there was much needed continuity of bureaucracy and army. If British all upper time decided to withdraw all the police forces and the top officials and the military personals, then it will be difficult for the new government to restructure the entire thing. So dominion status will continue everything in the same order. The much needed continuity for bureaucracy and the army. So newly established government should not face so much of the structural gap in the governments. And third, the Britain was looking for, because newly constructed state, the Britain was looking for investment, economic opportunities, and to continue others investment that had already during the British rule. So therefore, dominion status was a smooth thing for both the parties. They were realizing earlier also, but they had stepped up a demand of complete independence, and finally they had settled for the dominion. So this is the reason why the Congress accepted the dominion. Much needed continuity in bureaucracy and civil. Okay, fine. Gandhi, Patel, Nehru, and so two independent dominion within the British Commonwealth. Partition of Bengal and Punjab after endorsement of assembly on the basis of demography. Two-thirds of the Bengal, two-thirds of the Punjab became Pakistan. There should be referendum in Sylhet district of Assam, and NW. And referendum in the Sylhet district of Assam and NWFP. Sylhet district of Assam and NWFP. Referendum. And third point is that all the official assets to be divided equally between India and Pakistan. To be divided equally between India and Pakistan. A boundary commission was constituted. Radcliffe, under the chairmanship of Radcliffe, a boundary commission was constituted to demarcate the boundary between India and Pakistan. To demarcate the boundary between India and Pakistan. To demarcate the boundary between India and Pakistan. Radcliffe. So finally, Mountbatten did it, and then the bundles of this 3rd June plan, it was back to the British Prime Minister office, and British Prime Minister immediately introduced in the British Parliament, and 18th July 1947, Indian Independence Act was passed. and British paramountcy in India. British paramountcy in India was over. The biggest confusion was how many states are going to become independent. It's 2 or 560. It's 2 or 565. How many states in India would become independent? So that confusion has to be removed. And then finally, it was the integration of Indian states that will form the situation that is paramount in 18th July 1991, Indian independence, and 15th August 1947. So this is how the achievement of the freedom and independence. But some important, vital talk where we can have a question in the prelims. Always focus on this chapter very wisely, economic history. We will talk about the impact of the British economic policies, drain of wealth, commercialization of agriculture, destruction of handicraft industries, then we have growth of agriculture labor, rural indebtedness. So rural indebtedness and growth of agriculture labor, we call this as development of underdevelopment. Development of underdevelopment. This is how the impact of the British economic policies, but at the same time, you can look at the impact of the British economic policies positively also. Rise of modern industries, rise of modern means of communication, mainly the railways, rise of modern capitalist class, a strong middle class, and labor unions, labor movement. This middle class created momentum for the nationalists. Establishment of modern industries, like we have the cotton industry, jute industry, steel industry. Cotton industry was in the monopoly of Indians, and the jute industry was in the monopoly of the British. Cotton industry was in monopoly of Indians, and the jute industry was in the monopoly of. So this is economic impact. And the first cotton mill was established in Bombay by Kobas G. Davar in 1954. Kobas G. Davar. Kobas G. Davar. He was the first big industrialist in India who established the cotton mill in Bombay, 18. And first jute mill was established in Risera. Risera is in Bengal, So jute was under the monopoly of the British and cotton meal was under the monopoly of Indians. Was under the monopoly of Indians. Okay. 1854. Both. So economic history of India. Then another segment of economic history, that stages of colonialism. Stages of colonialism from 1757 to 1947. So 1757 to 1813, this is the first stage called stage of mercantilism. Market. Second stage, 1860, this is phase of free trade. After Charter Act of 1813, you know that this trade, 1813, 1860, and 1860 to 1947, this is a phase of the finance capitalism. Finance capital. So all the stages, intensity of the colonialism keep on changing. This is the first stage, this is second stage, this is third stage. Intensity of the colonialism keep on changing, but objective of colonialism always remained the same. That is exploitation of India to benefit the England. Right? So intensity of the colonialism keep on changing, but objective of the colonialism always remained the same. That is, exploitation of India to benefit England. And the third aspects of the British economic policy, economic history was land revenue assessment. Permanent settlement. So during the time of Lord Cornwallis, permanent settlement, 1793, with the help of Sir John Soar. With the help of Sir John Soar. So under permanent settlement, who is the owner of the land? Ownership was there with the traditional Jamindar. So Jamindar is the owner of the land. These are the facts you have to keep in mind. Who will collect the land revenue? Traditional. What is the relation of traditional Jamindar with the British? Commission agent. 10/11 part of the revenue should go to the British and 1/11 part of the revenue for the Jamindar. How much revenue will be collected? That will be decided by Jamindar, and how much it was collected, the sharing will be like this: 89% for the British and 11% for the Jamindar. There was 10 years settlement to fix the minimum, and at the same time we have the control over the Jamindar. It was sunset laws. Sunset law. Sunset law means on a particular day before sunset, If Jamindar failed to deposit the land revenue in British treasury, then his Jamindari will be dispossessed or confiscated. So obviously, when the traditional Jamindar will lose the right and then be replaced by a new class of aristocracy known as absentee landlords. So absentee landlordism always create exploitation of the peasant. So therefore, that will create a new avenues of the exploitation, and that the prosperous state of Bengal will turn into a famine. So likewise, in prelims examination, we have question from this segment, and then you must demarcate the areas from where you can look at the opportunities of pointing the map for the permanent settlement. It was there in Bengal. It was there in Bengal. So this is the area where the permanent settlement was implemented with the help of Johnson. Then second area, it was the Rayatbari settlement in entire southern India and the north. This is called the area of Rayatbari settlement, which was implemented by Reed and Monroe. This question was asked already 2 years back in examination, Reed and Monroe. He was instrumental in putting the direct collection with the Rayat, that is the tenant. And the third area, it was marked by this area of the central India and the Awadh, and this is called the Mahalbari settlement. The area under Mahalbari settlement by Holt Mackenzie. If you look at the rate of land revenue, the rate was highest in Rayatbari settlement, and then in the permanent settlement and in the Mahalbari settlement. So rate was sometimes exceeds to 50%, 55% in the Rayatbari settlement, causing huge discomfort to the peasants here, and therefore the land became uneconomic, and then obviously the peasants lost interest in cultivation and thereafter. So these are the areas you have to focus. So we will continue the series, and then we'll conclude about some revolutionary terrorism and other parts in 1 hour to continue further. Thank you so much. That's all for the day.